Hey up YouTube, this is one of my first jobs with the Nimos mosquito. It's a regular customer of mine and this is the first time I've used this tool properly. I've had a play with it and I've had done a little bit of paid work with it, but this is the first big job for it. So you can see what we're dealing with here. It's by no means moss central, but it does need doing. And I told the customer about it and she was happy basically for me to see what happens. I know it sounds a bit sort of thingy, but you know, I think everybody that has a new tool, there's always a little bit of trepidation. So the mosquito is the first, well, the most expensive tool I have purchased so far, so I am keen to basically to get it pay for itself. So as you can see, it's not heavy moss, but I'm happy with the results overall, and you'll see them towards the end of the video. So first job was getting the customer to move all the cars. This machine isn't violent, it doesn't really kick up too much, but I think it's best practice. It does come with a very robust guard on it, so whenever I'm using it next to anything sensitive, always make sure the guard is pointing towards that. So as I said, this is the most expensive purchase I've had, and I'm not saying I was nervous to use it, but this happened, and you'll see towards the end. So the machine just died and I pull started it and it fired up and it coughed. I wish I would have kept the camera rolling. What happened is that with Honda engines, it's always, somebody told me it's always best practice to turn the petrol off when it's in transit, because the petrol can bounce up or it can end up going places it shouldn't, and that's what I do and I forgot. So I must admit there was a little bit of a worry then. Especially, you know, I've talked this machine up to the customer and it is the first job. But in general, the machine starts first pull. Even when I first bought it and it had been sat literally doing nothing for God knows how long, it started first pull and I gave it a good service and it still starts first pull. So Honda, they're doing what they need to be doing. So I didn't take too much footage of the machine in action, because once you've seen it in action you get the general sort of gist. Now this is a road, it's a private road that leads to residence, and I think you can tell off the video that it leads to multiple properties, and she's chosen this method. Now ideally I would have liked to have sprayed the weeds off beforehand, but the area that it is, and it's a little village, and how many properties that this, you know, butts onto, I did discuss it with her, but it was decided not to weed kill. She'd much rather have me do this every 6 months just to keep on top of it, opposed to the weed killer route first. At the end of the day, you've got to do what the customer says. That tram line there, that was the guard. It just catch just enough debris just to leave a tram line, but you can see at the end we got it all up and tidied. So this is the next area onto, which is a car park. Just show you another sort of before picture. So that's the wall and it's a bit of a close-up shot. Fun fact, the camera actually fell off, but I didn't actually record or include that part. It got whipped off just before the end of it. So while we've got the time, this machine is very expensive. It's expensive to me, and I can imagine for most tradespeople it's even, you know, it is very expensive. The price of these new are a lot of money for what they are. And I had the choice with the weed ripper, as mentioned in previous videos, from another company. I could have bought their moss brush offering, but then I would have ended up with 2 machines taking up room in a container. So I made the decision with what happened with the previous company. I'm looking at getting rid of that, and basically this machine is a 2-in-1 machine. I've got the weed ripper tines in the back of the van. Take about 5-10 minutes to swap over, but I didn't need them for this job, and I wouldn't recommend it. Tarmac with the weed ripper attachment, I don't think it would go very well. This is my first time using the machine, well, properly using it. I did have Stuart from Overton come out for a demo, and I tried to absorb as much knowledge as I could, and I think the results, I'm happy with it. But more importantly, I am somebody that says I'm a perfectionist, but a realistic perfectionist. There's certain times where it is what it is. It's not to say that is, you know, a cowboy's way out, but you've got to be realistic with what you've got. Sometimes it's not exactly how you feel, it's the customer, how they feel. So this is just a little bit of a side quest. This is just a very mossy area that she just wanted, basically just getting up. I didn't actually take any afters because I am a pro YouTuber, remember, and I just forgot. But this is the thickest moss that was there, basically, and you can see it in a little bit. It just blasts through it. Now, best practice for this machine when you've got real thick moss is to cock the head over at an angle, but I just ran it flat, and then that way you're sort of cutting in with a leading edge of the blades. But even flat, it didn't have any problem doing it, as you can see. Now all these clips are real time, they've not been sped up. Maybe a more experienced user would blast through this quicker, but I've done this before with a hoe, and I like to think this is a lot quicker and a lot more better. I think sometimes there's ways of doing it, you know, handballing it, but with an area of this size, for me, this is the best course of action. This is a very much a luxury or a nice tool to have. So these are some of the after pictures. What you'll notice in some of the pictures is there's the swirls, or the striations I call them, where it's just a blade. Basically it's not marking the tarmac per se. This has got a cleaning action as well, so obviously you're taking off a top layer of dirt. Now this is my biggest worry because, as I said, I'm a realistic perfectionist. I think anything that cleans tarmac, you're always going to run the risk. Power washing, that can leave marks. Chemicals, you can end up knackering the surface. Hoeing even, you'll scratch it. I think this is the lesser of two evils. As I said, realistic perfectionist here. It's not necessarily what I think, it's the customers. So for me, selling this to a customer, we had 2 options. We can chemically treat it and then hoe it off. We can power wash it all off, you know, obviously the mess and the problems associated with that, that was untenable. The chemical route, didn't want to do it for as reasons I mentioned earlier, with butting onto people's properties. This to me is the best option that I have in my sort of repertoire. The customer was very happy. She's very happy, so much so that she's made a point of giving me a phone call and just telling me that she's happy. Even her husband was happy. He was very surprised with the results, and even one of the tenants come out and had a look at it and again said that they're very happy. Now the plan for this machine is to push it as an additional service via before and after pictures, and also by word of mouth to a degree. A friend of hers, this lady that did this work for, I also do work for her, and I described what it is, and I tried to give her a rough idea on what it entails. She sounded convinced, and I'm sure she would 100% have me, but I did say to her that I'll be doing her friend's property first, and I believe how happy this customer is. She's more than happy enough to tell this other customer of mine, yeah, go for it. Now the pictures, this isn't me pulling a YouTube get out of jail free card here. The pictures don't really do it justice. It does look a lot better, as in percentage better, like 20% better, which to me is the sort of deal breaker. So I think we're coming towards the end now, guys, but thank you for watching. As always, any feedback, hit me with it, I don't seem to mind. But for me, this is another tool added to the inventory, which hopefully is going to make my business all the better for the 2024 season. Have a good day, guys.